All right, welcome to the All American Hoops podcast. This is episode 61. I'm Chris Driscoll. So gentlemen, Matt and Matt, welcome to the show. So I did so as you know, I've been doing I've been doing much better with staying on top of the numbers game. The problem is I haven't the numbers are getting worse and worse. So episode 61 is the Pat Spencer episode, who is a current member of the Golden State Warriors. He's played so he played in 5
legend,
games.
Pat Spencer.
Yeah.
Loyola lacrosse legend.
Really?
Yeah, best
I didn't know that.
Best college lacrosse player of all time. And then he went to Northwestern for his 5th year and then made the G League and has been playing a little bit in the NBA.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if you guys listened to the episode on Monday, but Jonathan Gibson was episode 60. He played for the Celtics in 2018. Played for 3 games. Are you guys familiar at all?
No.
Okay, good.
Like that.
Yeah. I felt bad that I didn't know. I'm like, okay, if these guys don't know, then I don't feel too bad. Great, but how we doing tonight? How we doing tonight, gentlemen?
it's a pleasure to be on. I'm doing pretty well tonight. I just made dinner. How was it?
Dinner was fantastic. Actually, dinner was fantastic. As we mentioned every week, Matt's dinner night is on Thursday. Tonight he made some chicken and mashed potatoes. Matt was concerned about the mashed potatoes being too thick. They were actually very solid. They were definitely different from usual. Like not as soft as they usually are, but they were still extremely tasty. I really enjoyed them.
A little clumpy because I didn't have like the mixer thing. I was just mashing it, with my hand. But Chris, you didn't do the dinner justice. It was a lemon chicken with mashed.
It was lemon chicken. Okay, yeah. I didn't realize what that was. Yeah,
I thought it was all right, but
it was very
it's
solid.
a pleasure to have on. I don't even know if we call them guests anymore. It's member, maybe.
Yes. So I was gonna say this is officially the 4th time, but if you really want to say the 5th time, if you include the time that he called into the show where I was in the call with my girlfriend Olivia, who's probably watching the show honestly right now. But John couldn't make it tonight. He's currently seeing Harry Potter on Broadway. If ever the text message correctly. So definitely don't blame him for missing that. That seems more fun than what we're doing right now. Joining us to replace him is recurring guest Matt McCann. Thanks for coming on, Matt.
Thank you, guys. I think I'd say guest co-star would be a good term.
Yeah.
To say. Always a pleasure talking with the Driscoll boys, talking some hoops. This is definitely better than Broadway Harry Potter. Are you serious?
I was trying to.
We're talking all-star reserves here.
Talking all-star reserves. Yeah, we're very excited to talk about that. We'll do all-star reserves first. Yeah, we do have some other things to talk about. We'll talk about a little bit about the Celtics later. Talk about talk about how much of a Debbie Downer I am and how I've turned into I don't even know the show like what's it called, like Maz and something, Felger and Maz. According to you guys is what I've become with the Celtics based on how they've been playing the past 3 weeks. But thank God they finally won back to back for the first time this month. So that's great to know. But and then after that, I didn't bring this up to Matt McCann just because we didn't really. He's like, I don't know if we're going to get to this, but towards the end of the show, we talked a little bit about it, or I talked a little bit about it, I should say, on my TikTok. I talked about the Baseball Hall of Fame. We'll do like a mini rapid fire segment towards that at the end and see how that goes, because Matt had some disagreements with my ballot, which I released on PrimetimeSportsTalk.com earlier. So it was really one, but that's okay. So anyway, so the NBA literally just announced the All-Star starters, which I went live on Monday to give my picks, and speaking of which, it was, so as you guys know, so Thursday nights is usually the NBA game usually starts at 7:30. And the pregame show starts at 7, or is it, what is it? Usually starts at 7:30. Show starts at, or whatever, but the show was pushed. Oh yeah, it starts at 6:30. Sorry, and then game starts at 6:30. So we were expecting to get the results, and then we had enough time to prepare anyway, because I just told these guys ahead of time, make sure you have all 12 of you guys prepared. But 7:30 was Showtime coverage. We're like, oh crap, we might not be able to get to who the starters are by the time the show starts. Luckily, Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, and Chuck were able to. They definitely knew that the show was on. That's why they hurried up with announcing the starters. So shout out to them for getting the starters out quickly. So we were able to quickly scramble our roster. So So I'm just gonna go through mine. I'm just gonna go through mine real quick because I already went through it last week. Or not last week. It was 3 days ago. But so I got 8 for 10 correct on the starters. I got all 5 of the guys in the East correct. Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Karl-Anthony Towns. So no complaints there. And then for the West, I got the 2 guards correct. I got Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as my guards, and then of course Nikola Jokic was the other front courts. And then LeBron James and Kevin Durant were the other 2 front courts, which I don't know what it's going to take for LeBron and I personally did not have LeBron and KD starting last year. I know some people disagreed with that, which is completely fine. But second straight year I did both of them, but they're still finding a way to get in because some people talk about like LeBron, like when's he not going to start? But I'm wondering when it's going to happen with KD. So Matt McCann, I was wondering if you had any disagreements with how the All-Star starters were selected.
So, Chris, I went 7 for 10.
Okay.
Me and your rosters were very similar. I think the East was kind of one of those things. It's like those are the 5 best guys in the East, and it just happened that the positions lined up that way. Maybe if Paolo stayed healthy, you might have had a little bit more of an argument, or even Franz Wagner, which I'll touch on later with him because he's just the man. But yeah, the East was pretty easy. Ernie bragged about getting all 5 East starters correct, which I thought was nice. He knows ball. With the West, we had the same rosters, Shai, except I had Ant instead of Curry, which I think that was a bit of a toss-up. Curry I think he's been playing so flat since the new year. I just didn't think that he has had a complete season thus far. And then I also had Jokic, and then I had Wembanyama and AD instead of LeBron and KD, which, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it was the wrong Laker that got onto that starter spot, but that's just me. We'll see. I mean, LeBron and KD are always going to get the fan votes, so it's not a surprise, but I just don't think the system really works to get the most accurate rosters to start.
Yeah, Matt. Sorry, Chris, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, go ahead.
I totally agree. Like, I get having a fan vote, but like, it's just like the big names are always going to get in. The big names are always going to start, which I guess is what the NBA wants. They want to, put people in the seats and they want people to watch the All-Star game. But let me start with my choices. I had the East correct as well. I went 5 for 5. Brunson, Mitchell, Tatum, Giannis, Cat. I thought there was an argument for Cade over Mitchell just because like a pure numbers standpoint. But I guess, they're having like a historic start of the year. You got to have at least one Cleveland player start. So I put Mitchell in there. And for the West, I also had Ant. I don't think it's a toss-up between who's having a better season, Ant or Curry. I think Anthony Edwards is clearly having a better season. I also didn't have LeBron or KD. I had Anthony Davis, like you said, wrong Laker, and I had Victor Wembanyama over them as well. I'm kind of shocked that Wemby isn't starting. Like, I get Curry and LeBron starting, like you said, Chris. KD starting kind of surprises me. I thought Wemby would sneak in ahead of him.
I do want to say one thing. They made a point to give Wemby kind of they displayed his analytics, even though he didn't make the starters. The media had him second in the East for voting. So obviously the NBA as a whole, the media wanted him to start. I think it would have been great to expand the product, not only because he's global, but because he's so young. But I mean, like you were saying, the fan vote is just gonna take precedent, and between that and obviously the players having such respect for LeBron and KD, they're gonna have those guys a little bit higher than Wemby. So I'm sure Wemby is gonna have plenty of all-star starts by the time it's all said and done. So
yeah, that's what it seems like. It's yo, Matt.
Yeah, just one more thing. I did say it wasn't a toss-up between who's having a better year between Ant or Curry, but my apologies. Steph Curry has a 0.3 higher VORP, so clearly Curry was a clear choice that Curry should be starting over him. So my apologies.
What's the LeBron war?
Pretty. Let me check. I actually had that checked down yesterday, so let me. I'll check that in a second. But however, what I will mention is that, which I'm well aware that on-off is very flawed in some cases. But however, Curry's on-off. The Warriors are at a -4 with him off the court and a +4 with him on the floor. So that's one thing. Like shows you that, like, don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying that Steph's having a great year all in all, but I'm also saying that Ant isn't really having the best year himself. So like he has been slowing down a little bit. He has been awful down the clutch, which which by the way, I personally picked him for Clutch Player of the Year. Like I know that I know that I might be considered an hater, which I'm fine with that. What was that?
I would consider you an ant hater. That's right.
Oh, fine. Yeah. Like, and I'm fine if you want to consider me that. But I'm trying to think if there's do I have the LeBron one? Oh, I do. Okay, so, for the guards, oh no, Curry wasn't there actually. Okay, neither. But Ant was technically fit. They would, like, if we're going strictly about LeBron, it would have actually been Shea and James Harden. Actually, would have been the two guards out west. So. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. I guess we could talk about that in a second. Actually, that's actually a good way to segue right now. Actually, is talking about our picks for the reserves. But I guess we can start out. Yeah, since Inside the NBA did their picks based on the East first, we can do the same thing. We'll go. We'll go Eastern Conference first. So. First, we'll go East guards, East front courts, then wild card, and then after that, we'll go honorable mentions. And cool. Then, so that's one thing we go. Like, yeah, last week we did a mix of honorable mentions between. Yeah, we'll wait for honorable mentions at the end this time. So, Matt McCann gets the show. Why don't you give us your East guards first?
I love this. Let's do the guards first. All right. So the first one, Matt Driscoll already mentioned him, Cade. He's just been. Even recently, he's been ramping it up a little bit more, and I know recency bias is a little bit tough. He had a few like lingering injuries. He was hurt all last year, but when Cade is healthy, he is just so solid at every facet of the game, except for turnovers. You got to limit those a little bit. I mean, some people don't think turnovers matter, but they do. But he's just been unbelievable. I think he's really taking the reins on that young Detroit team, and they're kind of starting to shape things up a little bit. I mean, they've definitely been since last time I've been on the show. I mean, I really haven't been able to say my reaction to them, but they've been a pleasant surprise for me to watch. They've been great. And then my second one, this is a little bit to do with the historic start that Cleveland's been having. I think Garland deserves a spot in that guard rotation, just because, I mean, he's having comparable efficiency and overall scoring assist numbers to Steph Curry, who's an all-star starter. I mean, he's been that kind of facilitator that the Cavs need as kind of the second punch to Mitchell's scoring volume. And I think it flows really well. He's seeing the court a lot better. And another guy that's just starting to get healthy, where he's been kind of having those nagging injuries throughout his career. You get to see he used to be one of the worst players in the league, and now he is, I think, doing enough to be an all-star.
Yeah, love the Garland shout out, Matt. Chris, do you want to go last? You want me to go?
I will go last.
Okay. Yeah. I also had Cade. Like you said, turnover problem. Like, he's a young guy, and the Pistons have been playing better, but I feel like once they play together more and grow as a team, the turnovers will limit themselves, and as Cade kind of grows into his own. And in the first time in podcast history, I'm going to give credit to Damian Lillard. I have him as my other guard. As a Matt McCann has him in fantasy basketball. He's been very solid in fantasy basketball.
It's been awesome.
The Bucks have been have been better than I thought they were going to be since the horrible start at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I have Dame.
Good pick, gentlemen. One thing I thought would have been hilarious is that if the NBA really wanted to give respect to the Cavs, and if they started both Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland over Jalen Brunson, that would have been the funniest thing ever. And the first thing I would have done was text our board Dean Hanrahan. He would have been so angry because I will say I definitely lost the Darius Garland war, even though Garland was an all-star before Jalen Brunson earlier. Donovan Mitchell, you mean to tell me that there was never a day where hang on, there was never a day where Darius Garland was better than Jalen Brunson?
I'm not saying never a day. I'm just saying you admitted it a little too late.
Sure. That's fine.
Garland.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. And maybe you're going to say the thing about Donovan Mitchell, which I'm going to wait for the playoffs for that one because I still think that which we could talk about this debate for another day. But yeah, Brunson has been better this season. I'll admit that. But I did pick the same guys you got. We picked the same three players, but all in different combos because I picked both Damian Lillard and Darius Garland actually. Dame has been super solid this year. much better than Julius Randle, by the way. Just want to mention that. And he and Giannis have really been like the only two bright spots for the Bucks. I know the Bucks talk about trading Middleton. Yeah, not much is going well for the Bucks as of late, but yeah, Giannis and Dame have really been the only two best players, and it's showing more now, which I love, that you really can't win with the top of your roster. You need to have some depth. So that's so even though I'm probably the one that needs to be lectured to about that, because I'm the one that had the Bucks a little bit higher than most people this year. But yeah, very cool to see team basketball. And then Darius Garland, yeah, like this is going to be his second time making the All-Star game. Everyone counted him out last year, but I guess when your jaw isn't being held together by a bunch of metal, you're going to be you're going to be a much better basketball player. So shout out to Darius Garland. He's been awesome this year. Debatably the most important player on the Cavs this year based on impact numbers. But
he should learn how to make his free throws.
Sure, Leonard makes free throws. That was a rough watch last night. I was watching it live. He's actually yeah, like I don't know if you were, yeah, I think he was like seventh. I think he's like seventh in the league in free throws actually. Like free throw percentage actually. So that's how rough it was. The funny thing is, there's a
87.3% this year.
That's nuts. Yeah, there's a Darius Garland fan account, and they were they said like 3 weeks ago, they said like how about Darius for clutch player of the year? Darius could hit like all the clutch shots in the world, like without any buzzer beaters for like the rest of the year. I don't think he's a shot of winning because he missed those two free throws. And and it wasn't like a nationally televised game, but it was still against the Rockets, which is like a very important game. Like enough people were probably watching that because it was people were finding a way to tune into the first team in the East and second team in the West. So so we all picked the same three players, but all different combos. So that was pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing to see. Let's go to the front court now. Matt Driscoll, why don't you go with your front court picks?
So speaking of the Cavs, I have Evan Mobley as one of my picks. Second fantasy basketball mention of the night by me. I'm still kicking myself. I took Miles Turner over Evan Mobley. Even though I do like Miles Turner, I've been a huge Evan Mobley fan. USC alum. But yeah, the Cavs, we'll get to it later, but I have 3 Cavs All-Stars this year, and I mean, they kind of deserve it. I also have a second forward slot. I have Jaylen Brown. Although, he has played like an idiot at points this year, he still deserves it. Elite two-way player. His numbers, he's having like a down year, I think, and his numbers still speak for themselves. Like, he totally deserves to make the All-Star game. And then my third forward slot is Jalen Johnson. He has really turned it around. I think this is his third year, I want to say. Either second or he wasn't a rookie last year, right?
Fourth, I think.
This fourth year? I was going to say it's definitely third. But
fourth, yeah, I was going in 2022. Yeah, fourth. Yeah.
He's taken another leap. I think he's averaging like 19, 10, and 5 or something along those lines. He does everything well on the basketball floor, and it's pretty cool to see him play with, and even when Trae Young's out, it's cool to see how he controls the game, even if he's the number one option on the floor.
All right. So Driscoll, both Driscolls. Great minds think alike, I guess, because I have almost the same ones. The Jalen Johnson, I had him written down, and then I got rid of him because I realized that I wanted this guy. Shout out fantasy basketball, Franz Wagner. I said I was going to mention him later. He's only played 25 games, but when he was healthy, I mean, in November, he was in MVP talks. He has just been so impactful. He does it on both ends. He's like he has that energy. He plays the game like in a cool, like fun. It's like at his own pace, but at the same time, like he's so like uber athletic, and he just seems like a good dude from that one documentary with him and his brother. It was really cool. I just like the guy, and the numbers back it up. It's not just a motion pick. He has been really good when he's playing. He's back tonight, so hopefully he can pick up where he left off since the injury. Then the other two, we did the same. Evan Mobley. I think he has just been a defensive anchor for a team that has just been really making teams look silly. The Cavs have just been unbelievable, and Evan Mobley has taken that leap on offense that a lot of people wanted to see from him last year and didn't see. And I think now he's finally made that. He's able to turn into more of a high post player. He's able to facilitate a little bit more. He can make that jumper now, and then he can just blow right by you. He's so long, just dunk right over you. So he's been exciting to watch. I love that he's from my alma mater. So fight on, Evan. And then the last one, clutch player of the year, in my opinion, Jaylen Brown. He has not been clutch recently.
I thought you were being serious for a second.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
He's just been turning the ball over. I think, like, honestly, it's just lethargia from championships, the championship hangover. Earlier in the season, though, he really proved that, like, he deserved that Finals MVP. He was playing unconscious. He was a demon on defense. He does everything you want a player to do. And while it's frustrating sometimes when he gets a little bit sloppy or plays a little bit fast, he's still easily one of the best two-way players in the league, and he deserves a spot here no matter what.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely can't complain too much about those picks. Yeah, I'll give my picks, then I'll give my opinion on both your picks afterwards. But yeah, Evan Mobley I think Evan Mobley has to be one of those guys. He's definitely the first guy in my opinion. I've been saying for a few weeks now the locks are Tatum, Giannis, Cat, and Mobley, and then the other two are up for grabs. So yeah, Mobley so the Garland was the most important player. Mobley also has an argument because of how he's been anchoring that defense. Their offense has been better, but the defense has also been elite as well because of Mobley being one of the main reasons. And Mobley's the main reason. The second main reason of that is my second pick actually. That's Jarrett Allen actually. I do have four guys on the Cavs making the All-Star game, and I know that some Celtics fans will push back on me against that, saying like, okay, why is it only two Celtics making it last year and then four Cavs making it this year? And my reasoning for that is, first of all, I'm doing this based on my criteria, not the criteria from last year, from someone else, because like I thought the Porzingis should have made the All-Star game last year, so that would have made it three Celtics. And also, Tatum and Brown were the two clear-cut best players on the Celtics last year, and they were both easily top 5, top 10 players. Tatum being like a top 3 player in the East. The Cavs don't really have that out with their guys, so. So I do think that the Cavs do have 4 All-Star worthy players, in my opinion. Yeah, Jarrett Allen, I think, is one of the more underrated players in the league. I've gave him his flowers multiple times, including over the summertime. Where I said he was, which like I thought last year, Jarrett Allen was slightly better than Mobley, and I stand by that. But Mobley has been much better this year, obviously. But I do think that both of them still have been All-Star caliber. And then last guy, he's been annoying. Yeah, like as we mentioned, he has been annoying the hell out of me the past few weeks. And I almost like didn't put him in here mainly because he's been so disappointing. But like, you're gonna. Like, I'm not going to speak too negatively about Jaylen Brown on this podcast, but like, it's really you. Like, if you're talking about like his season as a whole, like especially the past few weeks, like he doesn't really deserve this too much, but still, like, he has definitely gotten the benefit of the doubt to where he was playing much better at the beginning of the season, was awesome last year, and has been better than the other guys, the rest of the guys in the front court. So, give me Jaylen Brown there. As far as it goes for your picks, guys, so Matt McCann, I know that you asked earlier in the group chat, like, is there a minimum amount of games? And the answer is no. But however, my answer is yes. I do have, I think like if you wanted to be a starter, I think you had to play over 30 games. But if you want to be a bench player, it's play over 25 games. And Wagner has played 25 games, but he also hasn't been playing the past few weeks. So that's why he didn't make the cut for me. And if I wasn't going to pick Wagner for the next one, it actually would have been Pascal Siakam for me. Which I don't know if you guys are picking Siakam actually. Yeah, so I know that's not mentioned technically. So like I didn't want to, but I'm not sure. Like I would not go with Jalen Johnson though, mainly because he's been the second best player on a team that's been fine. And I don't know if that team's best player is going to meet the All-Star game. So just picking a team that would have the second best player, but not their best player, which just feel a little weird to me, especially when the team isn't that good. So shout out to Jalen Johnson. He's been awesome this year. But I just don't know if he's been All-Star awesome though.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think that Trae Young, people still think that he's the best player in the Hawks. I think that's fair. But I don't know. To impact winning, I would so much rather have Jalen Johnson on my team than Trae Young, and that's why I have him over Young. You disagree?
I do. If we're building a team to win a championship, Johnson fills more holes. I'll say that. But if you need a guy to lead your team to wins, Trae Young is unequivocally much better than Jalen Johnson. Not even close.
Okay.
I don't think either can lead a team to a championship at all.
I didn't say. I didn't say that. Like I said to like more wins as the number one option. I don't think no as a number one option. No, yeah, Jerry Young can't do the number one championship team. No.
I think Jalen Johnson's impact on defense. I mean, Trae Young, he's going to be one of my honorable mentions. Spoiler alert. He's like one of the best playmakers in the league, and he still is a pretty great high volume shooter. The defense just really, I can't get past it. I really can't. And Jalen Johnson is just he's so complete. Fills a lot of holes, Chris.
He does fill a lot of. He does for sure.
And it's just he's just been so explosive. He's such a spark plug, like for guys like to get going. Like he gets the bench going. Like he's just one of those guys that like you would. I feel like you just want to play with. Like he's just electrifying. But I don't think it's a bad take to have Trae Young over Jalen Johnson at all.
I'm not going to go on my anti Trae Young rant yet.
Well, like we can go into it for the honorable mentions thing piece of it because like we don't know who, if anyone picks him. But yeah, I do want to keep the trend of me going last. So McCann, why don't you give your 2 wild cards?
All right, the 2 wild cards, 2 more guards. Because I just didn't think the forwards were that great. First, I have LaMelo, who actually got the 3rd most votes out of the East guards, which I don't agree with. You're on an 11-win team, like figure it out. Like you gotta start playing a little bit more defense. You gotta start like commanding the team a little bit more, getting the guys going. It's also a rookie coach, so I can't put all the blame on LaMelo. But I mean, he's fun to watch. He's awesome. He's just like he is a wild card. Like that's who he is. Like he's gonna take one-legged threes fading away, and it's gonna swish, and then the next play he's gonna throw it 8 rows into the seats. Like he's just that type of guy. But I think if he polishes his game down a little bit, matures a little bit, which he will, he's gonna be a great player for them. And it's nice to see him finally be a little bit healthier. I mean, he only has 4 more games played than Franz Wagner, which shocked me. He's got to figure that out. But that's my first one. And then the second one, it's the only thing that I actually somewhat enjoy in the cesspool that is Philadelphia. It's Tyrese Maxey. I love watching him play. He's just so fun to watch, and he has had literally the only bright spot of the entire season for the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, he has been the thing kind of, especially earlier in the season. You had George go down. Embiid's just don't even get me started with Embiid. I really don't want to talk about him. He's at AWOL. So you have this guy who's how old is he? 23? 22, 23 years old.
Is he really that young? Wow.
He's so young, and he's just like taken this team and just like kind of carried them recently, energetically. I mean, you see Paul George, he's just been checked out. I mean, they have him at center. I can't blame him, to be honest. But Tyrese Maxey has done everything he can to try and will them. Now that Jared McCain's out, he's the only bright spot that I could possibly see for this team, and he definitely deserves a nod. You'd like to see him have a little bit more success, but the team's just not. It's in shambles right now.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
You know, you're gonna man. You're lucky that Kenny Beecham and Pee Wee don't watch this show probably because they would have been very upset at your anti-LaMelo Ball take there. So, hopefully they come on the show soon. But Matt, but for now, I hope that they're not watching the show. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was like, I have so many names crossed out for my wild card because I went through a ton of them. And I didn't even think of Tyrese Maxey while going through All Stars. I don't know how I didn't do that, but I still think I
scroll down the standings.
Exactly.
I think I would still have these 2 guys over him. My first one's Darius Garland, who wasn't included in my 2 guards. Darius Garland has been insanely efficient this year. 50% from the field, 43 from 3, and 87 from the line. I mean, it didn't matter last night, but still. Impressive numbers while averaging over 20 a game. So I have Garland as my first wild card. And my second wild card, I have Tyler Hero, who I'm between him or Maxey of who I would actually rather have in the All-Star game, but I think I'm settled on Tyler Hero. He's shooting 41% from 3 this year and 48% from the field. He's has 5 dimes a game and averaging 24 points a game too. So very impressive year. especially with all that noise from the drama queen that is Jimmy Butler. That it just came out that today the next team he's on will be his last team, and he will retire with that team. It's like we've heard
Probably
this
next year.
We've heard this story before with Jimmy Butler. Besides the point, we're talking about All-Stars, so Jimmy Butler should not have even been mentioned. But yeah, Garland and Hero are my two wild cards.
Definitely no complaints there. I do have a little bit of a different approach than you. Not approach, yeah, just different takes from you guys. So, yeah, I did fill out my first wildcard guy with Cade Cunningham. Again, yeah, you guys have already said enough about him. He's been awesome this year. And despite what the fantasy group chat thinks, I'm a big fan of Darius Garland. I just did have him a little bit lower on the power rankings than most people would have. But yeah, like I've never had any. What?
Do you say Darius Garland or Cade?
Cade.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, Cade. Yeah. Cade's been awesome this year, and yeah, I'm a big Pistons guy, so yeah, I'm very happy that he's been the one leading the charge there. So great for him there. And my last guard, actually, we each had a different spot for the last guard. I actually went with Tyrese Halliburton, who hasn't been as good this year as last year, or I should say, like he's been like more consistent this year. Like he was literally playing like a top 10 player going into the year. But just has, but then fell off, and then kind of like stepped a little bit in the playoffs. This year, he's just been pretty consistent overall. He's averaging 8 and 8 while shooting 58 true shooting percentage. So he's been good. He's been good, but like he's been like the leader on the Pacers. So, and the Pacers have been, what are they, the 6th or the 7th seed? So yeah, I figured they deserve probably at least one All-Star, because every other, like I think every other team above them and then like below them, I should say, like had them. So, yeah. So, yeah, but like no complaints if you want to put LaMelo, if you want to put Cade. But yeah, cool. So yeah, I guess we can dive into some honorable mentions. I did mention Halliburton's teammate Pascal Siakam earlier. He's been having a solid season as well. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he snuck his way onto like a wild card or second front court spot. You guys want to add anyone else that we haven't talked about? He's kind of sucks, so maybe not. But yeah,
I don't know what's here. I'm giving credit to a lot of people that I usually tear down on this podcast, but Josh Hart has been having a phenomenal year, guys.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about sneaking him in, but Hero just scores. His averages 10 more points than him, so I put Hero above him. But Josh Hart, very efficient, very elite defender, and one of the best rebounders in the game at 6'4". Also, you mentioned the inefficient shot clocker Trae Young and Tyrese Maxey were my 3 honorable mentions.
Wow, some Knicks love on this podcast. That's a shock.
There's gonna be more as soon as you give yours. If you have any more, Matt, it's okay if you don't. But
The one Scotty Barnes, I think he's kind of had a down year from last year, but I think he's still been very solid. And come on, guys, we're Celtics fans. Give a little up to Peyton Pritchard. It's been awesome. He's been a little down recently, but I mean, he was a torch for like 2 months straight this season. Like,
he was
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was actually typing this out, I was thinking of including Pritchard, but I didn't want to have too many guards because I did actually include Derek White at first. But God bless him, he's been awful this year though. His shooting has been awful. Like his impact is still there, but like his shooting has been awful. And
not this year. This calendar year. Yes, that's right. He was very good. He was very good to start the year. Yes.
Which we'll talk about the Celtics later. We have a good amount of time left. So, but like, yeah, I do believe that the Celtics will start to turn around when he starts turning around, which I definitely think will happen. But the last honorable mention I think that I wanted to mention, actually, the last three guys. Yeah, it's 3 front court guys because all of them have like. The first one actually like had like a case in the beginning of the year is Nikola Vucevic. He was awesome to begin the year. If I'm being honest, I really haven't paid attention now. Well, he's been doing well since because it's the Bulls. But other than that, it's funny actually. He's like when I was going through like the advanced stats numbers, like Bam Adebayo was actually one of the first ones that came up. So I guess he's been still impactful, but not good enough for me, especially if with that. And then the last one actually was more Knicks love, OG Anunoby. He's still been solid this year, despite not being an all-star. But cool. Yeah. So now we can go out west. Matt Driscoll, why don't you go ahead and give your 2 guards for the for the first two guys, just say for your reserves for the West.
Both of these guys should have started over Steph Curry, and that's Anthony Edwards and De'Aaron Fox. I think their numbers are better. They're on a better team. I know it's only by a couple games. The Timberwolves are ahead of the Warriors, but the Warriors are out of the play-in right now. I think that should matter. So Fox and Ant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. I just want to say, if we're going by who isn't a starter, I had Ant starting over Curry. So that's just right there. So mine would also be Ant and Fox. I had the same thing. Fox, despite him having a pretty atrocious 3-point shooting year, he has been unbelievable on all parts of the floor. He's been so complete. And that Kings team went through so much turmoil with the coaching change and everything, and he has only gotten better since the season started. He's been great. And then Ant, I mean, his clutch numbers are his clutch numbers. It's not the end of the world, especially when you should have a guy like Julius Randle to pick up some of that slack, and he just hasn't been able to do anything. But he's been great, and he's another guy that's just tenacious on defense, and just something that Curry obviously is so impactful in so many ways, but defenses just isn't one of them compared to these other two guys.
I will say, whenever we have Matt on the podcast, the average vocabulary, it's increased. It was at tenacious. I think that's the third SAT word ever used on All American Hoops Pod, and all three of them have been used by you, Matt. So
that's a dollar coin word right there. That'll
I will say that John from JFK probably used at least a couple of his own SAT words when he was on the show. He probably used one. Trying to think of who else. Maybe Noah Dalzell. Yeah, she's very smart. Other than that, we try not to have too many people try to big time us on the pod with their vocabulary.
I think John Cassidy, you get him riled up a little bit. He'll throw out some big words.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. 100%. So, so I did have Ant as well. You didn't mention defense. I do think that Ant on defense is very overrated. I think that he's good. I don't think he's a difference maker though. And don't get me wrong, like Rudy Gobert is significantly worse this year than he was last year. But I also think at the end of the day, Ant's been very good, but he hasn't been who I expected him to be. But after that, I do have someone different from De'Aaron Fox. Actually, I have Kyrie Irving as my second guard. He's been filthy this year. He really has been like the only thing keeping the Mavs together, because Luka's only played 22 games. Now Derek Lively's going to be out for 2 to 3 months now, and I'm not saying that Kyrie's going to stay level-headed for the next few months, but like he has been the one keeping together. So, which I know we go after Kyrie a lot on the show, but he's been awesome this year.
Yeah, that's a great pick, Chris. I wasn't even thinking Kyrie, to be honest. But yeah, he's definitely going to be an honorable mention for me.
Mm-hmm.
He's been great. I think that the 4 guard spots were tough, because there's five or six really good guards that could fit. Obviously, Shea's going to be the first guard, and then you got kind of everybody else after him in the West. So
cool. McCann, do you want to give your front court guys now?
Yeah, sure. So again, it was kind of these are the guys I got wrong. I thought KD and LeBron would have been my bench guys, but if we're doing based on the reserves excluding, it was AD and Wemby, which I kind of touched on earlier. I mean, Wemby has been so awesome to watch. I love how he's progressing, and it is honestly a little startling how quickly he's progressed, and he's like very pro ready, and he just does everything well, and he makes the right decisions. And I think having Chris Paul kind of mentor him has really helped. I think it's really underrated how much he's impacted Wemby's overall decision making. And then AD has just been a monster on defense again. And I love AD as a fantasy basketball team dog and team member. He has carried my team to 2 wins so far this year. He shows up now. Everyone trashing him, wasn't playing Anthony Day-to-Day Davis, a Disney, everything. He shut them all up, and he plays. He plays a lot of games. I think he's only missed 3 games this year. He's been great. He's probable. He's listed as probable after every game, but he plays.
Yeah, he played 76 games last year too. Like he's been low-key an Iron Man.
That's the past 3 years, yeah. Matt, you still have one more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My last one. Sorry, guys.
Oh, good.
Last one is Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox's teammate. Efficiency-wise, he's been insane. He's shooting 60% from the field and 48% from 3. That's the best in the league.
Yeah.
He's not very high volume, but that's pretty impressive. And he's leading the league in rebounds, almost 15 a game. He's a double-double machine. His passing obviously has just been one of his strong points since he's entered the league. Another getting swayed a little bit with the emotions. Him on starting 5, I loved his segments. He was just so wholesome.
Absolutely.
Real family man. He's just a good dude. I really like him a lot. So I know Dean probably isn't going to appreciate that, but
yeah, Dean had Julius Randle over Sabonis last year. I don't get that at all.
Matt, no, I'm sorry, you're wrong. New media member, not new media member, new media member, a new media starter. He's the one that carried it. He actually said that Sabonis is a bad guy. The Draymond Green, he's the one, the guy that punched his teammate and has physically assaulted multiple members in the court. He thinks that Domantas Sabonis is a bad guy. So I think we should take his word rather than the people who had the camera all over him for the whole offseason. So I think we'll take his word for it over yours, with all due respect.
Draymond Green, I think he could make a serious living as a relief pitcher in the MLB, the amount of times he hits people.
Cool. All right. Matt Driscoll, you want to go next?
Yeah, I had the same 3, so I don't know how much more.
Yeah. If you want to add more, you can. But if not, yeah, like
AD, Sabonis, Wemby. I mean, we could talk about Sabonis for the next 15 minutes if we want to. I love that guy. He is unbelievable. Dean last year would talk about how
in the show, huh?
would talk about how Sabonis empty stats. Just watch the games. Watch the game. I watched a couple Kings games this year. They're not empty stats at all.
He commands the ball. He commands the offense.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous because I hate the guys who say like the numbers don't mean much, just watch the game. It drives me up a goddamn wall, mainly just because first of we all watch enough basketball, like we watch every single Celtics game, like almost every single Celtics game, I should say, because I don't watch the second half of last night, but like most Celtics games we watch a good amount of each team, but like you're taking like a deep dive into every single player that you can like firmly evaluate, like his spacing and everything. Get out of here. Sabonis is one of the most efficient players in the league. He's one of the best rebounders in the league, and also the second best passing big man in the league. I'm not saying that he's baby Jokic, because no one can really be Jokic, but like he is, like if there is anyone who is Jokic, it is him. But that being said, he's not one of my 3 front court guys. So that's really funny how that you went on that pro Sabonis tangent there. But okay. But I said that because like there's one TikTok guy that I used to follow. He had like Sabonis as like a outside the top 50 last year. It was absolutely outrageous. So it's one of those things. Yeah, as I mentioned in the show, beginning of the show, and also on Monday, I do think that Wemby and AD should have been the 2 starters. Debatably the 2 best defensive players in the league, and Wemby obviously the face of the league, going to be the face of the league very soon, and AD definitely one of the most pluggable players in the league in my opinion. Maybe would probably struggle as like the sole offensive engine on a team, but however, I do think he could be like the number 1 option on a team in my opinion. The third front court guy I would go with, however, by the way, I'm certainly not mad at you guys for putting Sabonis over him, but I do have Alperen Sengun instead. Sabonis is probably better a little bit individually in the numbers, but that being said, Sengun has been the best player on the second best team in the West. So it was more so out of respect to the Rockets than out of respect to Sengun, even though Sengun's been awesome this year as well. But simply because of how great how great the Rockets have been this year. With also the Kings not being as good. The Kings have been much better as of late, but I'm talking about for the full season, and Sabonis being the second best player on that team. That's really what did it for me. But however, I'm not gonna crap on anyone for having Sabonis over Sengun by any means.
Yeah, I can just get right into my wild cards because my first wild card is Alperen Şengün.
Awesome. Yeah.
I thought that was a toss up. I did like how Sabonis, his numbers were a bit gaudier, which I liked, but you're completely right. I mean, I think Şengün I have right here. He's the engine to this Rockets team, in my opinion. He's a great passer, just like Jokic, just like Sabonis. He's one of the best big man passers in the league. I think he is nearly unstoppable in a high post, especially when he starts to kind of find his game like down the stretch. And he just seems, I don't know. He's very like he plays his game and he's not upset about it. He has that one weird like fadeaway jumper thing that's super unorthodox, off like the off foot. It's like a push shot. But he just is kind of like a tempest, another 5-cent word there for that team. He's very steady. And for a young team, that's so valuable because it keeps them from riding the roller coaster, which you never want to do. And then my other wild card, again, I think like thinking about it now, I might have Kyrie over him, but it's Devin Booker. Despite the turmoil in that Suns locker room, he's been fantastic. He really has started to embrace that point guard role. He's averaging 6 assists a game. Efficiency's a little bit down, but that team has really struggled, and he's been a single light point. Him and KD, I think he just deserves a spot. I mean, Kyrie might deserve it more than him now that I think about it, but that's teach them.
Yeah, Matt. I had one of the same wild card guys. That was Şengün. I was between him or an honorable mention that I'll get to in a minute. But Şengün is averaging Jalen Johnson type numbers, Chris. 19, 11, and 5. I didn't realize how poorly of a 3-point shooter Şengün is.
Right.
Only 23%, which is kind of shocking. But Matt, like you said, I really like watching him play. He plays at his own pace. It's like such a valuable thing to have, to not be rushed, especially as a young guy. And the Rockets are they the 3 seed right now? Or are they the 2 seed? Let me check the standings real quick. They're the 2.
They're the 2 seed.
They're 2 seed.
They're
Yeah,
they're
half a game over the Grizzlies. So I think they should get a All-Star, but I guess this is kind of hypocritical because I have Kyrie Irving as my other wild card. Chris, you mentioned him. He's kind of been the only steady thing about the Mavericks this year. Lively is missing a couple months now, and with Luka still out, he's going to be out till the All-Star break. Chris, if we have time, we could talk about the Mavericks. They're in big trouble right now. The Mavericks are in massive trouble right now.
Yeah,
I'm just so pissed because I guess it's bittersweet, mainly just because I predicted the Mavs to be a first-round exit this year, and they're not going to make the playoffs. But it's not as a result of like me saying it's because of what played. It's because everyone's getting injured, and I really can't celebrate. I'm not going to celebrate people getting injured because then I look like an asshole. So so I'm not taking any victory laps based on the Mavs play because everyone's injured, not because they're playing poorly.
I still think they could make the play-in and maybe like sneak into the playoffs, but then they're on the road the entire playoffs. Lively is out with a foot injury for a couple months. He comes back. He's a lob threat. Like, a foot injury for a lob threat is a pretty big deal to come back in only a couple months, like depending on the severity. I mean, Luka, who knows when he's going to come back and how much effort he's going to put in. But Kyrie having a great year. He's shooting 43% from 3. Obviously elite from the line at 90%. Having 25, 5 and 5. So very stat sheet stuffer, and he's been very solid.
Yasmin. Yeah, definitely agree with you on the whole Lively thing. Like I don't know if you listened to Simmons yesterday or today, but he said like foot injuries tend to be more serious than they initially come out. So wouldn't surprise me if the Mavs just like if the Mavs like regress and like towards like outside the play-in tournaments and Luka doesn't get better, why not just shut him down for the rest of the year? But we'll see what happens there. I had my wild card and then I crossed it out for a second there, but I am going to go Sabonis for my first one because of how awesome he's been individually. And you guys had Fox as your second guard, and I can't be mad at you for that. But I'm not going to put him on because it's one of those things where It feels weird, which I know the NBA is going to do it because like they always do, but having the 5 and the 7 seed, having 2 All-Stars in each one just feels weird. So I am going to go Jaren Jackson Jr. as my second wild card guy. He's been awesome both defensively and offensively. John Morant was out for a little bit, but Jackson has been keeping the team up. The Grizzlies have run into a little bit of struggle, but however are currently on a 4-game win streak. So yeah, it's one of those things where like I know like sometimes the West being so much better than the East can be a little over exaggerated sometimes, but I don't think it is really being exaggerated in this case because like on my thing, Devin Booker and De'Aaron Fox didn't make my cuts, and meanwhile Tyrese Halliburton and Jared Allen are making it in on the other aspect of it. So which is really it's one of those really unfortunate things.
Yeah, I'm happy one of us picked Jaren Jackson Jr. He was the one I had him, and then I crossed him out when you mentioned Kyrie.
Yeah, and the guy that I crossed out actually was James Harden, because the Clippers have been much better this year, and but like I listened to it on numbers of the board the other day, and like it's one of those things that I just never caught. The Clippers are great this year because of their defense, not because of James Harden. Harden's been helping a lot. Like he's been like the engine on offense, but it's I do give more credit to Ty Lue and Ivica Zubac probably.
Yeah, I like had Harden as my honorable mention. He's shooting 39% from the field this year. Like I know field goal percentage isn't everything, but it is pretty important. And I mean, like you said, the Clippers are staying alive this year. I believe they're the 6th seed right now. That's because of their defense and because of the wall on the
wall.
So are we going through honorable mentions now?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm happy somebody said Jaren Jackson Jr. Here's my number 1 honorable mention. I have Jalen Green as one of my honorable mentions. He's been playing unbelievable basketball for the last like month or so. His numbers like aren't jump off the page. He's averaging 21, 4 boards and 3 assists. His efficiency isn't great, so that's why I didn't have him in. But I mean, the Rockets are the 2 seed. So I mean, having 2 All-Stars isn't crazy.
Yeah, both of my honorable mentions were said, so I'll add a third one. But the first 2, it was Jaren Jackson Jr. Enough has been said about him. He's been great. And then the other one, I guess, would be Kyrie. Would be my other one. And then I'll add a third one. This is more of just like someone please get him out of this situation. Lauri Markkanen. He's just stuck in Utah, and I really feel bad for him because he had such a phenomenal year last year. He really hasn't regressed that much this year. A slight step back, but still, he's been great. There's no way he would ever make an All-Star team, though, just because of how bad the Jazz are.
Yeah, they're brutal. They're brutal to watch.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah, like I just League Pass, I just like always like scroll by their game. Like it's just not even it's brutal.
No one mentioned J-Dub, huh?
They're uniform too. I would. Yeah, I'm completely fine with that.
It's so weird. Like it's you said you're fine with it, or you just said
I'm kind of fine with it. I don't know.
No, I'm fine with it too. But like
OKC's so good.
That's why it feels weird. Like
their second best player. Yeah.
That's why it feels. But maybe you put J-Dub there ahead of Jaren Jackson Jr. because he's been a better second option than Jaren Jackson been better first. So I don't know. But then like the other guys I had were I did have Van Vliet and Zubac as my other 2 guys. So yeah, that's really weird though. Okay.
That's another testament to what you were saying though, Chris. Like the West, especially the forwards in the West, they're so deep.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like, wait, you're going to put him over LeBron? Like, that's hard.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I would have put KD on my team mainly because of games played, but he still has been playing great for the games he has played in. So it's one of those things. Yeah. Okay. I don't think anyone's on
Kevin Durant played.
Like early 30s, probably.
33. Oh wow, that's less than I thought.
33.
33. Okay. So, yeah. So why don't we go talk about the Celtics now? Because they did win last night in like the heart attack fashion like they usually do. I personally went to sleep last night a little after 12. It was about what was probably about like 3 minutes. It was like 8 minutes left in the third. So I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm staying up for this, especially because based on the way that they've been playing, it would have been a very stressful game that would have probably resulted in a loss. So, which I don't want to hear from you guys because that was to tell you that wasn't a valid concern because it absolutely was. It was staying up to 1:30 just to have to wake up in 5 hours after that. But I know that I know that our guy Joel Dells had like a meltdown on Twitter last night. He said like he really doesn't believe in the Celtics and their abilities. But like he has since gone back and said like he was being emotional. But that being said, I don't I'm never gonna back out on my decision to pick the Celtics to win the title because this I do think they still have the best team. They still have they still have the best constructed roster in my opinion. When everyone's healthy, they're still the best team in my opinion. But I don't think it's necessarily a small sample size anymore when we say they haven't been playing good basketball lately.
They won by 40 this week.
And it's been extremely. They won by 40, and then they lost, and then they choked away. They nearly choked away 2 games to the Hawks and to the Clippers and to the Pelicans. So they've just been so inconsistent. Yes, they won by 40. Those games are awesome, but you know who also did that? Where they would win by 40 and then come back with a really shitty game after that? The 2019 Celtics. Same thing with the 2023 Celtics. This team is better than both of those teams, but
by a mile.
Yes, by not 2023, but about 2019. Yes.
Yes. This team is way better than the 2023 Celtics.
2023 was awesome for the entire year, but like they were just a little inconsistent, just like 2025. But
this roster is significantly better than the 2023 Celtics, Chris.
With Porzingis like, not being a guarantee to stay healthy, I wouldn't be so sure about that.
I am so sure about that, Chris. Come on. What are we doing?
It's little to no roster turnover, and they went 16-3 in last year's playoffs with Kristaps only playing in 5 of those games.
You guys are talking about last year's everything going on with last year, and it was awesome. They've been inconsistent this year. It was awesome. And I'm happy that I'm happy we spent the entire offseason flaunting over it because we got to take advantage of it. But I'm happy that you guys aren't on the team because you guys are showing no worry whatsoever, which is not your job as fans to show any type of worry. And I respect that, but however, they're just not this. They just haven't been playing like the same team as they were last year. Yes, they've been injured. They were injured last year too. They're significantly worse at home this year. There's just a lot of red flags this team had this year that they didn't last year.
Okay, I want to speak on this.
Sure. Yeah.
I agree with I understand your concern, and I think kind of the whole thing about this is you get so. Everyone, like, as a fan that like cares about a team as much as we do about the Celtics, you get so swept up in the day-to-day, which makes sense. I mean, that's what the players do. Tatum said the other day, to have a championship mindset, you don't worry about what's going to happen in April and May. You're worried about, okay, January 17th, like, what do I have to get done today? And that's like, you have to do it step by step. But when you're watching these games as fans and you see just some ugly basketball being played, which there has been ugly basketball, you can't just ignore it or turn a blind eye to it. You kind of lose that sort of overarching view of like, this team is they're 31-13 right now. They are 3rd in offensive rating and 5th in defensive rating. They're the only team top 5 in both this season, including the historic Cavs and the historic Thunder. They haven't been healthy. I think they've only played like 3 games with a full roster. Tonight's going to be one of those nights. We'll see how they play. Obviously, games like Christmas, that sucks. Seeing them just not be able to make a 3. Seeing games where they could just completely hand it to the other team, like the Hawks game, that's brutal. But you have to look at the bigger picture. The nights that they're good, they're great. The nights they're a little bit, I don't know what to say, lethargic, lackadaisical, whatever word you want to use. Awesome. Any $5 word. I got plenty of $5 words I could throw out about this team, good and bad. You have to look at the fact, come April, is Jaylen Brown, is Joe Mazzulla, is Jason Tatum gonna make sure these guys are in line for game 1 at the Garden? Yes, absolutely they are. Because they won last year. They know what to do. They have the blueprint. They're going to do exactly what they did last year because they have a very similar team. A lot of the guys that they lost the roles were replaced, at least somewhat. And if they weren't replaced, then guys that were fringe bench players last year have stepped up. Hauser's been awful recently. I don't want to, but he has expanded his game tremendously. He's going off the dribble. He's able to pass it a lot more. The games that they aren't good is when the ball's sticky. And earlier in the year, they were number 1 or number 2 in passing in the league. Right now, they're 29th, and it shows. But I think that's just lazy January championship hangover basketball. That's all you can blame that on. So no, I'm not concerned. I understand the concern because they're losing winnable games, and that's always frustrating. But come April, come May, when the Driscoll boys drive me up to TD Garden, I will be repping green, and I will be saying LFGC, and they will be winning those games.
A year ago today, the Celtics beat the Mavericks by 9 to become 34-10. And we acted like, we were like on top of the world. We're like, holy crap, this team is unbelievable. They're 31-13 right now, is it?
They're 3 games back at last year's pace.
They're 3 games back of last year's pace. And Chris the Tank in our Celtics group chat the other day is blowing up the phone. He's like, oh, this is just, I'm getting worried. We're not on the same level as a team that hasn't made it past the second round since LeBron James has played there. Can we take a deep breath and realize it's January hoops? Please, Chris.
Yes, we can take a deep breath, which is why I've stopped panicking after every loss. I have stopped panicking after every loss.
That is true. The group chat's been a lot. It's been a lot more just this stinks.
Yeah.
And oh my God, we got a Celtics Twitter. I don't know if it's just because of the Tatum and the Brown fanboys that are just Tatum and Brown fans and not Celtics fans. They have been blowing up Celtics Twitter. It's been hard to scroll through, to be honest.
It's ridiculous, yeah. Which, I was going to say, I've stopped panicking. However, I know that Olivia, who's I think is watching the show now, would say otherwise because she watched my first Celtics meltdown the other day watching the Celtics. So I've apologized to her multiple times, but I'm apologizing to her again live on the show. But yes, you're talking about last year, how great things were. They didn't start 16-3 last year and go into 14-10 stretch last year. Okay, last year they were more consistent. They would get punched in the face and then they would go on a couple more games win streak. This year they started off extremely hot and have been 14-10 since. So it's just one of or 15-10 last night. It's just one of those things where I appreciated last year's team more because when they lost a game, they would go on a multiple game win streak last year. But like I mentioned, last night was the first night that they won back to back since in the new calendar year, if I'm not mistaken, if not the very beginning of the year, if not the very beginning of the calendar year. So. Like I said, I'm still very confident in this team, and I'm not gonna. And I'm not going to jump ship. Not only because I'm going to say loyal to the Celtics, but also because I do believe in this team. I that's how much I believe in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in their abilities. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I do believe that once Derek White starts to pick it up, which I'm not saying that Derek White has to play like he did last year, like certain stretches, especially like he did before the All-Star break, where he was looking like an All-Star. I'm not saying he has to be at that level, but once he gets to playing like the guy who he is, he just played like one of the best role players in the league. That's when things are going to turn around. I do think that he's going to be the X factor on this team, and that's including if Porzingis is injured. But I would also just stop using last year as an example, because I'm sure the 2021 Lakers used the year before as an example, as did the Warriors, as did the Nuggets, as did the Bucks, but the Bucks were different. But so
fraudulent.
What was that?
The Bucks are fraudulent, is what you
they are.
Say.
Yes, they are. That's what I meant. So had they beaten the Hawks, had they won against the Hawks, I would feel much better now. They'd be on a 4-game win streak, I believe, had they won that game. And God, am I happy I didn't watch that game. Didn't watch last night's game, because watching Jaylen Brown turn that over, it would have caused me to have a stroke at 1:30 in the morning. So, we'll see what happens tonight against the Lakers. Obviously anything can happen with anytime we play LeBron. I'm not sure if you guys. Yeah, I'm pretty sure last year it was this exact time. Actually, I'm pretty sure the day that the All-Star starters were announced, the Celtics got blown up by the Lakers. If I'm not mistaken, it was
the LeBron-less and AD-less Lakers. I actually woke up my girlfriend from a nap. I was yelling so loudly.
It was the phone. Well, like no, it's funny because like that was actually the game. Like I was angry, but like I wasn't annoyed because I knew the Celtics would come back, and like I got that vibe from last year's Celtics team. And I'm not saying that like I'm not saying that's not gonna happen this year, but like, last year it was more of like a known thing. Like, oh, this team is different. Like I know that this team is still great, but like I'm not like so sure like I was last year. And maybe that's a me thing, but like I also just feel like it's different vibes this year than last year.
It's definitely different vibes, but I think that's kind of what you have to expect when you're talking about. I mean, these
Yes.
are people like you're trying to go back to back. Like that's a
Yep.
very rare and
It's-
very challenging thing, and it's going to be really difficult. I just think that it's hard to push the panic button on a team that's second in the East.
Yes, 100%. And the other thing is like this, like we did have the Nuggets last year, who like a lot of people like did have the Nuggets. Like I would say most people had when Nuggets won the finals against us. Like I know Vegas had us as the favorite still, but like I feel like if you ask the average person, they would say the Nuggets were the better team. I still feel like most people like even though like we did have the Nuggets last year, but like this year last year we didn't have anyone in the East that I was really afraid of. And I'm still very confident we beat the Cavs, but like this year, I'm less confident we beat the Thunder than like had we matched up against the Nuggets last year. Maybe because like the Thunder obviously a significantly better team, like overall team outside of Shea versus Jokic.
I think they match up way better to the Celtics too. The Thunder.
Absolutely, 100%. That'll be interesting. I don't mean to change topics, but however, the NBA just released the actual voting results for like the placements. So. So Jokic, LeBron, KD was the order. Then Wemby was in 4th place, AD 5th place, Şengün 6th place, J-Dub 7th place, JJJ 8th, Sabonis 9, Wiggins 10th. So that's adding in play. So that's just, Wiggins finds a way every year. I don't know how he does it.
It's because the Warrior influence in Asia.
Asia, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah,
because a lot of San Francisco has predominant Asian
exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I love that the game is worldwide. I just don't know if fan voting should be weighted as high as it is. I know it's hard because you want to have the fans interact with the product, but at the same time, like Andrew Wiggins is not an all-star. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He was an all-star starter 2 years ago.
Yep. God. Ridiculous. And then the guards, so Shea first, Steph second, Luka third. He was second. He was second. Wait, no, he was 6th in player voting, 3rd in fan, 4th in media. So yeah, the players really pulled him down. Ant's 4th, who was 5th in fan voting, but 3rd in player and media. Kyrie was 5th, Josh 6th, Harden 7th, Fox 8th, Booker 9th, and Norm Powell 10th.
Norm Powell getting some love.
Yeah, James Harden 12th in players. James Harden is hated by the players. It's ridiculous. Like he's been hated like even since he was on the Rockets and like even when he was winning MVPs.
James Harden's one of those guys that like he just fully created his own PR reputation, and then like now he just has to kind of live with it. He's an underrated player now. Like,
yep, absolutely,
wholeheartedly underrated. He's great still, and like it's just not going to be viewed the same because he had a temper tantrum in Philly, and Houston.
So for the East, Giannis was first across the board. Tatum second for players and fans. He was actually tied with Giannis for media. Actually tied for first. I think that's interesting. Cat third. Paolo was still found a way to come in 4th. Has he played 12 games? So yeah, someone look that up for me a second. But Paolo 4th. Mobley 5th.
Paolo's played 11 games.
That's ridiculous. How the hell does that happen?
Almost 12.
What?
So tonight will be his 12th game.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Yeah. Jaylen Brown 6th, Franz 7th, Jared Allen 8th, Embiid 9.
Embiid. Are we serious?
So I think hang on.
8
so
games, I think.
Wait. So and Bridges 10th, which I'm confused because like so the media everyone in the media voted for the same players because obviously everyone voted for Giannis, Tatum, and Cats. The only other ones that got votes, I think Mobley was the only other one that got a vote because everyone else is like tied for 5th outside of Mobley.
Smith voted for Mobley.
Yeah, so he must have been like one of the only ones on the vote.
He also voted for the other 3 too. So
did he?
He didn't have a single guard in his starters.
I don't think.
How's that possible?
I think Chuck.
I don't think he was an actual voter.
Yeah, I don't think
None
so.
of them actually voted.
Yeah,
Chuck didn't vote for Giannis. So.
Chuck didn't vote. He said that on the show. He said he didn't.
Yeah. But
Because he said he doesn't watch all the games. He actually said that on live TV.
At least he admits it, unlike the other guys. But
Also, by the way, just want to say, Paolo has played 2 less games this year than Joel Embiid.
So Embiid came in 7th in player voting and 10th in media. So like, I wonder what is it with that he got so many more votes than the players. Yeah, I don't know.
And
then for the
okay in the games that he's played too.
Yeah,
He hasn't been great.
Yeah, like
He's
he's had great games, but like there's been some questionable games.
there's been some questions, but like I also do think that the Sixers have been, even when he's not playing good, the Sixers have been much better with him on the court. Like it's one of those things. Like it's like the impact thing.
24, 8, and 4.
That's good. Yeah, it's
It's good.
Yeah,
On
like I
pretty good
don't think it's good.
efficiency.
Yeah, but so yeah, he's not gonna be. Then for the East, Mitchell was first. He came in first for players, second for fan, first for media. Brunson second for player, third for fan, second for media. LaMelo was third. He came in third for player, first for fan, 7th for media. So the media
People
pulled him
love
down.
LaMelo. It's awesome.
What was that?
Fans love LaMelo.
Fans love LaMelo, and clearly the
They
players
call
do
it
too.
brand.
But yeah. The media is good for something sometimes. Just, yeah, but some, yeah, no sense to sometimes. Trae Young 4th, 4th for players, 5th for fan, 6th for media. Dame 5th, 8th for players. Holy crap. 4th for fan, 5th for media. Cade was what's that 6th? 6th, 5th for players, 6th for fan, 4th for media, and then after that, I'm not going to go through every single one. Garland 7th, Maxey 8th, Hero 9, Poole 10th. So,
Poole.
Shout out Jordan Poole. Yeah, he's been very good this year.
Pool party.
Yeah, they almost have. I think they just reached half a dozen wins. So congratulations to the
Yeah,
Wizards with that.
yeah. The contract is only getting better with as the years go down. So shout out, yeah. He's not going to be known for that for too long as he's still playing good basketball.
The Commanders have more wins in Washington than the Wizards do since the NBA season started. So that's really good for that franchise.
That's really good, isn't it? Yeah.
There was at one point this year, the Celtics had more wins. Let me pull up what the Wizards record at home is. It is 5-17. The Wizards have 2 more wins in Washington than the Celtics do.
That's
That
quite
is
unfortunate.
awesome.
Cool. All right. Matt Driscoll, we're like an hour and we're like a little bit over. I don't think we need to take care. I don't think we need to do baseball here, especially because John's on here. But we can maybe save a different baseball segment for when we get back. But
say 15 seconds.
Go fire away.
It is an utter disgrace and an utter joke that you put Chase Utley on your ballot. After all he did to our family and the Mets, you put that overrated fraud on your ballot. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. But
who would you rather me put over him?
Pedroia.
He was my next guy up. I was deciding between Felix and Pedroia. Pedroia was my next guy up, and he will be my ballot next year. I can tell you that.
He's great. He was. I love him. I love Justin Pedroia.
You had Utley over Felix Hernandez too?
No. Did I have it?
I thought you voted for Felix.
I did. Yeah. Felix was the last guy I included, but like I think it was just one of those things where like I don't know if I wanted to put another first guy on there yet. So I think it was that. But yeah, next year's gonna be interesting because So we got 3 guys that got in, so that's leaving 3 spots open for me. Pedroia is gonna be one of those guys, and it's not like Cole Hamels and Brian Braun really did much to warrants. Like I'm probably gonna just go with Bobby Abreu and either I guess like I'm choosing between I guess the last one would be either K-Rod, Hamels, or Braun, but Braun's not going to get in because
Braun's not going to get in.
Well, like not he won an MVP. He was very good for a good amount of time, but I don't think first of all he wasn't good enough. Second of all, he also took steroids, so it's kind of like
he was the second biggest face of that whole scandal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's kind of like how I'm trying to think of it. It's kind of close to Andy Pettitte, how he's like on the fence Hall of Fame regardless, but then when you take steroids, like people took like Bonds and Clemens aren't in because of steroids, but like they have Hall of Fame careers. Same thing with A-Rod and Manny, but like these guys were on the fence. But like now you're like, oh, you took steroids, fuck you. Like it's one of those, it's one of those things. Yeah. So That's my takeaway there. But
one last thing about the ballot.
Now that we're talking about it, we can go a little bit longer than one last thing. But yeah.
I do only have one more thing because I don't know too much about baseball history. But one last thing about the ballots: whoever did not vote for Ichiro Suzuki should be ashamed of himself, and he does not like the sport of baseball. That is an outrage. That is just an outrage.
It's just an overall joke that it's decided by media writers that just push their personal agenda. I would love to do that. I do that on the podcast. I post my personal agenda. I do it on a podcast. I don't decide the Hall of Fame. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, do you not have like a sense of like responsibility to make the right call? No morals. I don't know.
I guarantee he was one of those guys. It was definitely one of those guys that just submitted a blank ballot. It's just like, but it's a disgrace how like the media isn't like even if like I'm not saying like you need to like put you need to write a 500-word essay as to why you picked each player and everything, but put out a statement for certain players. Put out a statement for like controversial ones. It's not that hard. Minutes. It's not that hard. I write my piece on the 10 players that I vote for every year. This is the third year that I did it. And I do it for free. So it really, and you get paid for this. So, but Matt, I'm not sure if you saw, but it was actually Tony from the Paulie and Tony Fusco show was actually the guy that the guy that didn't vote for Ichiro.
It doesn't surprise me at all. It's
that was a joke, by the way. Like he's not actually the one that
wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah, very funny. But one more rant. The fact that players are voting for Jimmy Rollins, Mark Burley, Omar Vizquel, and Matt. I don't mean to shame Dustin Pedroia, but Pedroia was not that much better than David Wright for him to be getting warranted twice the amount of votes as David Wright. I understand longevity is important. Longevity is not everything. David Wright is a 7-time All-Star, a 2-time Silver Slugger, and a 2-time Gold Glove. 30 players in MLB history have accomplished that. 17 of them are in the Hall of Fame. 10 of those guys would have been in the Hall of Fame if they weren't current players or if they're in the scandal. So only 3 guys in the history of baseball have not made the Hall of Fame. One of them is a 2-time MVP. He should be in. The other ones were not in the same stratosphere as David Wright. David Wright is at his peak was one of the best players in Mets history. One of the best third basemen of all time. Should have won MVP in 2007. The fact that Jimmy Rollins won, like I understand, like we didn't use analytics back in 2007, but Jimmy Rollins won MVP over David Wright in 2007 because he had 7 more stolen bases. That is why he won MVP. David Wright, they had the same amount of home runs. Wright had a better batting average. He had a better on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, and which, by the way, these aren't advanced stats that I just gave. I mean, OPS is maybe a little too advanced for some of the people back in 2007, but it's completely utter ridiculous how that is the reason why Jimmy Rollins gets more votes than David Wright. Twice the amount of votes. It is completely ridiculous. It took 61 episodes.
Patience.
It took 61 episodes. It took 61 episodes for me to go on a pro David Wright tangent. My favorite athlete of all time. That's pretty damn impressive. That took me that long to go on a David Wright tangent, and I'm very happy that I did.
It took you until the Pat Spencer episode.
That's Spencer. That's right. Yeah, love that. Cool. All right. Yeah. So I think yes. So next week will the All-Star reserves will be announced. I'm assuming we'll be reacting to that pretty shortly after that. We'll see what else. I know I mentioned a couple weeks ago we're gonna be having a bigger name coming on soon, but it's been one of those things that it just hasn't come up. But like I don't want to say the name yet because it's coming live. But like I have been in contact with him and it's going to be someone big coming on soon. So we're very hyped about that. But we got that. But yeah, I think that's it for the show. But as per usual, Brother Matt, thanks for coming. Yeah, Matt Driscoll would, but even though Brother Matt feels weirder, so I don't know why I said that. But thanks for coming on as always, unofficial co-hosts, and Matt McCann for the 4th/5th time. Thanks again for coming on such short notice because I didn't know that John was coming on. So it's been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Make sure to follow All American Hooper on all social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. TikTok is back for now. I'm going to try to be active on Instagram. I'm always active on Twitter, and hopefully start to post more YouTube videos as well. Also, be sure to subscribe to @SportsFluence to catch every episode on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. Really hasn't been that lately, but however, we are going to be more consistent with the timing for now. But all in all, another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. I've been trying to catch the catchphrase on. I think I finally got a new one. Keep grinding, stay hooping. Have a good night, everyone.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit. drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.